who refuse to live in a world that denied them justice. Megan Wright of Dominican College in New York took her life at the age of 19. Elizabeth Seberg of the University of Notre Dame in Indiana took her life at the age of 19. Trey Malone of Amherst College in Massachusetts took his life at the age of 20. Elgin Stafford of the University of California, Berkeley, took his life at the age of 23. These young, aspiring, and brilliant young beings claimed their own lives after having been raped and sexually assaulted by college students, and in Stafford's case, a former doctor at the UC-Berkeley's Health Service Tank Center. They did not take their lives because they were raped per se, but because their administrations failed them. I would like to read to you remnants of a message Mr. Malone left in 2011 before claiming his life. And I do this with the sincerest desire to honor his final wish in spreading his message. The sexual assault was too much. There was no adequate form of preparation available for that, and no repair afterwards. What began as an earnest effort to help on the part of Amherst became an emotionless hand-washing. In those places I should have received help, I saw none. I suppose there are many possible reasons for this, but in the end, I'm still here, and so too is that night. I hold no ill will, nor do I place an iota of blame upon my family. I blame a society that remains unwilling to address sexual assault and rape, one that pays some object form of lip service to the idea of sexual crimes while working its hardest to marginalize its victims. One where the first question a college president can pose to me regarding my own assault is, have you handled your drinking problem? My story is far from exceptional in this regard. Every 2 minutes, there is another victim. 97% of rapists will never spend a day in jail. 1 in every 6 women in the U.S. has been a victim of rape, and 1 in 33 men. Despite this, every awful myth about rape persists. Society will continue to blame women for the clothes they wear, despite hard evidence showing no link, and continue to say, you shouldn't have been there, when 73% of rapes are committed by non-strangers, and more than 50% took place within 1 mile of the victim's home. 4 in 10 take place at their home. Sexual crime is viewed as inconsequential unless the fabled dark alley with a gun assault occurs, and even then, women face the eternal, why were you there? What were you wearing badgering? Please listen to what I said about sexual assault. There are millions more just like me that need help, and no, someone who is drunk cannot give consent. That excerpt was taken from Huffington Post, which was published in 2012. Thomas Trey Malone then took his life in June of 2011. My name is Aarefah Mosavi. I transferred from a college in Southern California known as Mount San Antonio College in the fall of 2014. I'm currently a Peace and Conflict Studies major at UC-Berkeley, and on the night of December 12th of 2013, I was sexually assaulted on campus of Mount San Antonio College. The assailant was a coworker of mine, and he currently works for the college as a math tutor. His name is Chester Brown. This was an individual who I considered a friend, but he raped me. On the night of Thursday, December 12th of 2013, we went to the campus farm to see animals. Mount SAC is a relatively wealthy college campus that has its own farm. As we were getting ready to leave the farm, Brown suddenly turned to me and repeatedly asked me to take off my hijab, to which I consistently refused and expressed that he was making me uncomfortable. This was not the first time he was fixated on my hijab and wanting to see me without it on. When we first started working together, he had made comments like, I can see your neck and I'm going to look at it. And he even called me a fake Muslim because of the fact that my flesh was visible. I immediately confronted him about it at work and demanded that he stop making the suggested comments because they made me feel uncomfortable. He apologized and claimed he was joking, but he still brought it up periodically. That night, he began to aggressively harass me about my headscarf again and demanded that I take it off. It was dark, and there were no other people present. He then grabbed my arm against my will and pulled me against him. I was frozen and terrified. At this point, he started to grope my back, my hips, and buttocks. I tried to pull away, but he would not let me go. I continuously told him, I don't want this, I just want to go home. Then he pinned me against the wall, with the side of my face pressed against the wall, my back facing him. I was in a complete state of shock. No one was around and it was very dark. I was terrified as Brown proceeded to sexually assault me. He forced his hands under my shirt, groping my bare stomach, then forced his hands under my bra and groped my breasts. He then continued to grope my stomach, sides, and lower back. While he was doing this, he was also grinding his body against me in a rough manner. I was in a complete state of shock throughout this entire ordeal. I felt like if I had done anything to stop him, he was going to do something far worse to me. Brown then continued to rape me by putting his hand outside of my stretched jeans and in between my thighs. He pushed his finger into me at least 3 times so that his finger and the fabric of my jeans went inside of my genitals. It was painful. I looked around to see if there was anyone close by that I could seek help from, but I couldn't see anyone. I felt trapped, and I was frozen the entire time. After about 5 minutes of this rape and sexual assault, he stopped and said, I feel like I forced myself on you. I knew something like this was going to happen. We started walking back to his car, which was parked nearby. My belongings were in his car. Also, I was in a dark and unfamiliar place, and I needed to ride back to where I had left my car, which was parked far away from the farm. I walked behind him dazed and in silence. I felt incredibly violated and sick, like I wanted to vomit. I felt dirty. He drove me to my car at the parking lot across from Building 4, which is the administration building. He parked his car next to mine, and as I went to leave, he grabbed my arm and again demanded that I remove my headscarf. And as I pulled away to get out of the car, Brown pulled my coattail, but I snatched it back and left in my car. I felt so filthy and violated that I washed myself upon arriving home. The psychological shock I suffered from this incident only worsened when the administration failed to take any punitive action against this individual. He's still a member of the SAC staff and is allowed to work with other students. For 6 months, I went through the administration's procedures in hopes that they would punish Chester Brown for raping me. I met with various administrators and police officers, including Bill Scroggins, the Mount San Antonio College president, Lorraine Jones, the director of Equal Employment Opportunity Programs, James Saja, the vice president of Human Resources, and Joseph Carl, Mount San Antonio College's public safety officer and so-called private investigator. During one of the meetings, Lorraine Jones told me to simulate the rape in front of her on the scribe who was also in the meeting. I described the assault that took place but was unable to go through with simulating the actual rape. I failed to see why this would have been asked of me or described, yet the administration used the fact that I did not go through with the simulation to further justify exonerating Chester Brown. This administration has allowed a rapist to continue to attend and work for the college without consequence for his reprehensible behavior. The administration repeatedly asked me throughout the investigation when I was transferring in hopes that this issue too would disappear from the campus. They have been mistaken. The administration has traded my safety and the safety of its students for a miserable price, and this must change. I'm taking legal action against the Mount San Antonio College administration as well as Chester Brown. My experience of being raped on Mount SAC's campus is not a singular rare exception the college president claimed to be in my meeting with him. According to the Department of Education, there are currently 106 college campuses across the nation that are under federal investigation for mishandling sexual assault cases, and Mount SAC will soon join that list. Among these campuses include private universities like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, and many more. And in one disgusting case concerning Florida State University survivor Erica Kinsman complained to her college administration of being raped by Janius Winston, a prominent college football athlete. The administration refused to punish Winston because his athleticism yields publicity and profit for Florida State. And these facts were taken from the recent documentary known as The Hunting Ground. No action was taken against the athlete by the administration, even though DNA evidence and medical reports that showed clear signs of rape were given to them. Regardless of whether I was found mutilated, bruised, or beaten to death, or whether he admits to it or not, Chester Brown raped me. He violated my body and my will, but I am determined to tell the truth and make sure that he is held accountable for having raped me and to stop him from raping other women in the future. The Mount SAC administration denied me my request to have individuals I believe would have had relevant information on Brown's behavior and the assault. But in their administrative review, they claimed that my requests were either irrelevant or invalid because those individuals were not present to witness my assault. Yet, in an act of unconscionable hypocrisy, they took ignorant and biased opinions of Chester Brown's coworkers, opinions of individuals who were not present to witness my sexual assault, and still claimed them as valid witnesses according to their administrative conclusion. I warned Jones of specific people who had favorable opinions of Brown through emails and in person, but this concern, along with many others, were left ignored. They equivocate their use and definition of irrelevance, as well as their ability to make inferences. If the testimonies of those who were not present at Mount SAC Farm that night, I was assaulted, is irrelevant by their own definition, then the interviews that the administration has conducted must be invalid by their own definition because the people they interviewed were not present at the farm either. The administration has not conducted a valid or thorough investigation. They have appallingly and wrongfully used my point of suffering, my words, my suggestion, textual evidence I gave to them, and an admission by Brown himself where he admits to the administration of having put his filthy hands on me that night. They have used all of this against me to fallaciously conclude that Chester Brown would not face punishment for sexual harassment, let alone sexually assaulting me on the night of December 12th. 1 in 5 women are victims of attempted or completed sexual assault, but the college administrations have deliberately manipulated their safety statistics to reflect significantly less than the well-researched average done by the Department of Justice. Mount San Antonio College is one of the nation's largest community colleges and home to over 33,000 students. I know that I'm not the only one, and so does this administration. Justice does exist. Survivors across the world have asked where it is, and I say it's in the palm of your hands. Those of us who have endured such atrocities are not the weak. Those rapists are the failures of society. The rapists are the predators, and such people should pay dearly for what they have chosen to do. The message must be sent that this criminal's behavior is abominable, and it will not be tolerated under any circumstance. Laws and administrative practices must change to protect our rights as human beings who are entitled to our freedom. We choose to say no, and in this context, these people must obey our command. It is an issue of power that only rapists refuse to accept. This is a movement that exceeds the precinct of ourselves. It is a movement to secure equal rights, especially for women. My experience, along with so many others, is a harrowing example of gender inequality that prevails within the confines of the sexist culture in which we live, and the continued employment of this criminal symbolizes that injustice. It symbolizes the desecration of my humanity, and it sets forth the shameful reality that little will be done to ensure the safety of other students on this campus. The policies of college administrations must change to act in the interest of its students and not its own. Chester Brown will no longer be able to hide behind the convenience of anonymity. Chester Brown will be known for having manipulated and raped a human being, and Chester Brown will be held accountable for having raped me. And so I ask that you join me in igniting that beacon of hope, that promising light that those fallen angels and many others so desperately search for in their moment of darkness. When the system fails you, it is up to you and up to the will of humanity to reclaim the promise of justice. And this must end now. Thank you.